All right. Welcome back, y'all. This is your girl, Sayani.
Welcome back, beautiful people. This is your girl, Daria Marie. We're so happy to have you here.
Yes. Welcome back to the Love Solutions podcast. Wherever you may be listening, however you may be listening, we are going to be speaking about solutions on polyamory. Now, the reason why we chose this topic is because it's a very hot topic in the dating world right now. It is hype. It is just something that everyone is truly looking into. But also, I'm getting high demands on people that are requesting sessions with me about transitioning their monogamous relationship into a polyamorous one. Usually this happens when one person is monogamous and the other person is poly, but the monogamous person will do, with agreement, of course, they will agree to allowing their partner that may be transitioning into poly, or is just poly, to have more than one partner, okay? Hell to the nah. We're gonna talk about it, y'all. Hang in there. But we're gonna discuss polymono, monopoly. I have my notes here. We have some notes right here from an actual professional. She has a PhD, and I wanted to share it. Everything that she mentioned on here is great. So let's talk about it, sis.
So just so you know, I pronounce it poly. So when I talk about it, I'm gonna say poly.
Yes, so whenever you shorten it, it's like poly,
yeah,
polyamorous.
Yeah. So I say poly because I have my Bronx, Brooklyn accent, and my pronunciation sometimes is quite different. But
It's okay, sis.
listen, don't get it twisted, guys. I'm really not about that life. That's not something that I feel like I would ever be able to be an active participant in terms of being in a poly relationship. However, I don't judge people that choose to go down that path or choose that route. The one side of it that I do see is that there's a lot of openness to a relationship, and it eliminates the whole concept of cheating, because you're essentially consenting to your partner engaging in physical acts, dating, whatever it is, with other people, right? So it's not a sneaky thing. There's really a lot of transparency that goes in between those dynamics, right? So you're essentially giving consent to your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whatever, your girl, if you're in a bisexual relationship, whatever the case may be, you're essentially communicating with one another and consenting to this dynamic, right? So that's something that I feel like it's like a mutual understanding between two people, where there are so many relationships that people just step out on each other and just choose to, really, honestly, you're being poly when you're in a relationship and you're cheating on your significant other, right? So I told Sayani that I had a story, because now don't get it twisted, it's not a story that I've been a part of,
Right?
But I had a situation that I was just kind of like really thrown off, and I had to ask a lot of questions because I was like hella confused. So I go to the same gym pretty much every day, and I see the same people, and this guy was just kind of like always talking to me, and I could tell that, you can kind of tell when someone's like flirting with you and like wants to talk to you, right? So eventually he asked me for my phone number, and we were talking, blah, 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 blah. And soon thereafter, he comes to tell me that he's married, right? So I was like, you're married, but you asked me for my phone number. Okay. So he was like, I'm gonna. Nowadays, honestly, I really don't get really too surprised or thrown off by certain things, because there's so much things that are happening. People are identifying binary, non-binary. There's so many different things that go on that I'm just kind of, more approaching things with questions and inquisitiveness rather than judgment. So I said, okay, so you're in an open marriage, so what does that mean? And he pretty much said that he can date other women and she can date other men. And it just really confuses me, because the only part that confuses me about it is my question to you, Yanni, and to anybody who is involved in this or has done this before or doesn't see anything off about it is, are you two really in love with each other? Like, are you really in love with each other if you are wholeheartedly okay with them being intimate, romantic, emotionally connected to somebody else? That's like what my question is, because y'all might as well just be friends. Like that's the part that I don't understand that part. So I know that you have a lot of different circumstances, situations, dynamics that you're going to get into. And then West Side Story said, I've been in an open relationship for 10 years, now leaning poly, healthiest relationship I've ever been in. I agree, and I agree with Brian. Sex to me is spiritual act. How do you parabond and raise a family? So my question is for West Side Story, and then I also kind of like piggyback with Brian because that's what my mindset is.
Right. So first, I'm gonna talk about what the definition is. So polyamory is the act of having intimate relationships with more than one person at the same time. A polyamorous person might have or might be open to having multiple romantic relationships. Polygamy, on the other hand, involves being married to multiple partners. So people get into, and I'm going to start with the fact that in monogamous relationships, when they decide to transition into poly, from what I read from this therapist, it happens due to a partner stepping out of the relationship. What happens is, now that she actually is specific about, that is not the way to go. That is you becoming going into a polyamorous relationship or transitioning from monogamy to polyamory. Both parties have to be on the same page, and we're talking about strangers that do meet together, and they sit down and they have a conversation. One is poly, one is monogamous. They actually have a discussion and they trust each other, and there are boundaries. They talk about it. Now there's a discussion. Something that I loved about this article, though, that she focused on a lot, was the fact that a lot of like young people in this generation coming up find different connections in different people. The connections that they find may be a spiritual connection. So now they have a spiritual connection, but don't have a level of intimacy. Like they don't have, can I say sexual? Yeah, I'll say it on here, I guess, it's fine. Don't have a sexual connection. Now there are some individuals that are poly and are monogamous, so polymono, monopoly, that do come together, and the person that's monogamous doesn't at all, okay? And it's a lot of pressure. I'm gonna say this. From everything that I've gathered and things that I've actually been studying and taking the time to study, it's a lot of pressure for the person that actually is traditional. Right. Because the person that's polyamorous is only thinking about the fact that I have this connection with this one person, but I'm also being gravitated with this connection over here. And it's making me feel fulfilled. Like I feel like there's no emptiness. But what ends up happening is that the person that's monogamous ends up building resentment because of the fact that they are not allowed to step out of the relationship, but the poly does. And the monogamous person has to accept that this person, the poly partner is now bringing in other individuals that they have no idea how it may be like. So they have to settle. This can be a problem. It can absolutely become a problem.
It's a problem because nowadays people are accustomed to like fulfilling everything. Every little bucket needs to be full, right? Yes. Like when our parents were growing up, like temptation has always been around. You've always been attracted to a variety of different people for many different reasons. And that the guy that I told you about from the gym, you just like opened my mind to something. The guy that was married in the gym, that was in an open marriage, he asked me to go to a like bodybuilding competition with him, right? He was like, oh, I have tickets. Do you want to go with me to this bodybuilding competition? And I was like, my response, because I'm sarcastic as hell, I was like, why don't you take your wife?
Right? I would have said the same thing.
Yeah. And he was like, she's not into fitness like that. So he finds in me this common interest that I guess is lacking in his marriage. But for me, it's more of like, someone on here said like it's more about focusing on your individual self and selfishness, because that to me is super selfish. So I'm supposed to give you my time, my energy that I could be giving to someone that's going to actually be committed to me, because your current marriage wife isn't into what you're into. Right. So like it is selfish, right? I obviously am not going and said no, but he smart ass Daria. Yeah, I was like, why don't you take your wife, homie? Like, what's good? Like, I'm confused. Like, why are you asking me, you know? And he straight up said to me, like, she's not into fitness. So that, and straight face, like, this was in person, we talked about it. But yeah, I was like, oh, I want to be like, well, that sucks. Like,
right.
I don't know what you want me to tell you. But the thing for me is, if I was in a marriage, right? And this has happened before. I've been dating someone that's interested in something that I'm not necessarily over the moon interested in, right? But when you love somebody, you accompany them to things like that in order to strengthen your relationship, your bond, keep your mind open, as well as engage in something that your partner wants to be a part of. That's what love is about,
right?
You know, like compromise, sacrifice, all of those things that are just like undermined now with this Gen Z crap, because it's like, oh, well, I can just find a relationship in the gym, and I could find a relationship at work, and I could find a relationship here. Like, fabulous, I got options. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't understand. What are you offering that's worth that energy from him? And if you just want a workout partner, hold your ground on that. I think you missed the story. You missed the whole story.
You missed this. Yeah, you missed the whole story, Conmay. But Brian said, like, we're stepping away from building a relationship. Society wants instant gratification. This is something that is in this article, where it explains matched emotionally for a successful, like, when does it work? When does a polyamorous relationship work? It works when you have you're matched emotionally, but mismatched sexually. So this means that sometimes people who are deeply in love with each other and click on emotional, intellectual, creative, spiritual, and or political levels make wonderful partners in many ways, but do not click sexually. So she explains here that it's like when a high desire, this is how she explains it. When a high desire partner is paired with a low desire lover, it can be a tremendous relief for both of them when the high desire person has access to other lovers. Listen to this. Similarly, when a kinky person and a vanilla person fall in love, a polymono relationship can allow the kinky person to have sex that involves pain or power exchange with others who also enjoy those practices. The arrangement also relieves the vanilla person from the burden of either having a kind of sex they do not like or feeling like they are not meeting their partner's needs. That brings me back to what you were saying about the wife. He's like, well, she's okay with me having an open relationship. But we also need to think about the fact that there's a difference here, right? Because if you have an open relationship, from what I know, from what I've heard and things that I've actually read, open relationship, you out there doing whatever, and you guys are not talking about it. But a polyamorous relationship is when two or more people are actually on the same page about having multiple partners at the same time. We need to also talk about the fact that this is about, like you said, I don't have, like what the guy said about his wife. She's not into fitness, so I'm going to go out here and find someone that is.
Right.
Didn't you know this before your marriage?
That's
Didn't you know this I'm really getting tired of hearing people. Like, I heard this one woman on TikTok talking about, and someone asked, is that bad or good? I'm gonna tell you, in my opinion, if you have, she spoke about a long distance relationship, or if you have a disability or an illness, I can understand having a polyamorous relationship. That I can understand, because listen, when you have a disability or an illness, there's only but so much that you can do to satisfy a person. So you really think about this other person, how much you love them and you enjoy being around them, and they just make you feel so amazing that you don't want to be like a burden in their life. So you allow them to bring other people into the relationship so that they can be satisfied the way you know you wish you could, but you can't. So you're not going to take that away from them. You're going to allow it. No problem. That I can understand, because everyone needs love. I'm not going to take that away from nobody. I am not judging you. But one thing that I loved about this therapist that she mentioned was the fact that if you think stepping out of your marriage or stepping out of your relationship that's monogamous, meaning you're cheating on your partner, okay? You're cheating on your partner, and you come back into the relationship and now you're talking about, hey, babe, like, whether you're a man or a woman, because it goes both ways. It's not just men that are requesting polyamorous like relationships. There are women who are actually requesting this too, okay? And
come here, Mom.
The thing is your marriage a business decision or a connection decision? To me, it should be a connection. It shouldn't be an absolute connection. But I'm gonna stay with this point of, I feel like it's so hard to cheat. First of all, you cheat on somebody, or somebody cheats on you, and they come back and they want to offer you the polyamorous relationship. That's not honest. That's you being selfish. That's you thinking about yourself and yourself only. And the fact, and let me tell you something, if there are people out there who've actually considered this just to satisfy their partner, hey, by all means, do you, boo-boo. If it works for you, it works for you. But do you understand the things that I would hear from these partners that want to transition? And the monogamous person is like, no, I feel like I'm being forced to do something I don't want to do,
right,
just to compliment you. So why do I need to transition into a polyamorous relationship? What is it that you feel is missing? So gotta offer that up front and give that person a choice to go with it or not. That's what I'm talking about, Mr. Heal Yourself. I just said that. If it's two strangers coming together and you have that conversation, that is very different. But if you step out of your marriage or you step out of your relationship and your person does not know, your partner does not know, and then you come back into the relationship like, hey, babe, so I wanna try this polyamorous, this poly mono, because the thing is, a lot of these people are talking about it but don't do their research. They don't understand it. They don't know it. They think that this is just an excuse to go ahead and cheat. So make sure that the conversation that you do have is something that you're okay with. You should never, in my opinion, okay, you should never belittle or devalue yourself, okay, to make somebody else comfortable. And if you feel that there's a lot of things that are missing within you, perhaps that's something that you need to work out on your own. Because what's going to end up happening is you're going to be in a relationship with two other people, and now this one person that you're into is more into this person that they were into you. It happens naturally.
I love what he said. You can't change the recipe while you're cooking the meal. That's so true. It's so true. And it's like I forgot which dynamic you mentioned, because it's literally like tongue twisters to me. But it almost seems like it's like a forgiveness for cheating and like allowing the person to continue to do something to damage your relationship in order to make it look like it's not cheating. It's like the green light for like you said, like 9 times out of 10, one of the people doesn't want to do that if it's a transition.
Right.
So I don't know if you guys have been on dating apps recently, but you'll sign up for a dating app, right? And you'll choose, let's say I'm a woman, I'm choosing to date men. Men will come up as potential matches for me, and they'll be in a picture with their girl/wife, and they're looking for a third person on a dating app. So this is like a publicized looking for another partner in their relationship. Like they're literally going online and looking for that. So this is something that's like really ever evolving. And my question still is like, do you actually, like, I wouldn't be okay with my man being intimate with another woman. And I feel like if my man would be okay with me being intimate with somebody else, then they don't really care about me in the way that I would want them to. Or like, my body is sacred, right? Come here, mommy. And I want you to feel that way too. Like, I don't want you to be okay with that, right? I feel like it eliminates a lot of, like Brian said a lot about how, what love should be. It should be patient and having those conversations, or selfish. Like, you may not just be marriage material. Like, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Like, it's really, really mind-boggling. And I always say this to you guys, that there's levels to this shit, and that there's a person out there for everyone. So we try not to be judgmental. We try not to knock what anybody really actually wants to do.
Right.
But you really got to find someone that's like wholeheartedly comfortable with that dynamic.
Right. I'm gonna say, I always say this to couples, because when these couples have these sessions, the first thing that they're gonna ask me is, I don't think he loves me, or I don't think she loves me. I always tell them, no, they love you. This person does love you. There was a point in time in your relationship or in your marriage where you was in love with this person. There was a reason why you decided to move forward with this person, to stay for as long as you stayed in this relationship with this person. There's something about them that is holding you, that you do not want to let go, which is why you're willing to transition. This is why you're willing to compromise your traditional beliefs. And I understand that. But if someone feels like they need, you just took the words out of my mouth, Sapio Serpent. If someone feels the need to step out of their marriage or step out of their relationship to find something more, or even when they come together and they're like, listen, I'm a polyamorous person. I know that you're monogamous, but this is how you got to take me. There's something else going on. There's something else deeply with them that's going on that only they understand, and that's something else that she talks about, is pressuring someone under duress, agreeing to something under duress. Like, really, they are just not happy with themselves, in all honesty. Exactly. They're not happy with themselves. So why not get this validation from others? Why not, what I think is missing, I'm going to go find it in different people. But do you understand the level of stress that this gives? You are stressed out now at this point, because you have to make sure this person, and that person is all feeling good, and you're not feeling no type of way about yourself, and you're not feeling left out. So to answer your question, D, I do believe that they do love their partner, but they're no longer in love with their partner. They're finding, they're falling out of love, but they still want to fight for what they currently have, and they don't want to let go, because there's a level of comfortability. There's a level of attachment. We don't know what that attachment style may be. We don't know if there's trauma bonding that's going on. So they think that this is love. They think this is supposed to work. So why not go ahead and find somebody else to spice it up? There's so many couples that talk about it. They
I
talk
mean,
about they talk
it's
about how
huge.
they talk about having an open relationship, and bringing other people into the bedroom. And guess what? And it keeps happening because they feel like they need something to fulfill whatever emptiness or whatever is going on within their marriage or the relationship. And then guess what? Guess what? What happens is they have their open relationship, they have their threesome, let's just say, and now it opened doors to other things. And it happens if you don't have that strong communication where you're like, listen, we're going to try this one time and that's it, just because I'm willing to compromise and put my shit to the side. Oh, excuse me, put my own feelings to the side just to compliment you. But if I'm telling you straight up, if I'm not comfortable with something, I'm not doing it. If I know, for example, in Jamaica, they have hedonism, right? I remember I was telling Taylor, I'm like, oh, what is this? Like, I want to go to this hotel, blah, blah. So we were at the resort, the lady told us what it was, and I was like, oh, hell no. I honestly did not know what hedonism was. We went to it wasn't Montego Bay, it was Negril. We went to Negril, and there was a hotel that was hedonism, and that's what it said, but it looked so nice and beautiful, and I'm over here telling babe, I want to go. I want to go there. He's like, I don't think you know what this is. So we went back to our hotel, and the server was like, well, let me explain to you what that is. There's swingers. You basically, you exchange partners, and y'all have some intimacy going on with the other person's partners, and it's out in the open. It's naked people walking around. And she was like, I've done it with my baby daddy a few times. I said, what? What you mean? The server really told us this. She said that she's done hedonism, okay? Hedonism more than a few times with her baby father, and she finds it fun. But then I asked her, I'm like, how is your relationship with your baby daddy? And she was like, it's very bumpy. And whose idea was it? His. Huh. Okay.
Yeah, because the connection is breached. Like, there's nothing more beautiful than two people that are committed to each other and that ride for one another. And for me, if you're no longer in love and you're looking for connections from different people, why wouldn't you just break up or not get married in the first place if you feel like there's so many things that this person doesn't match? Now, granted, sometimes people can grow apart rather than growing together. Okay, so I do understand that component of a relationship where you may start dating in your 20s, and by your late 40s, 50s, you may have evolved into a completely different human being with different desires and different mindset, mentality, and things like that, right? But why wouldn't you, barring the person is not willing to engage in what you want to engage in, why wouldn't you amicably respect this person, do the work to communicate with this person, get to the level of understanding where you need to be, and then move on, right? Because you're hurting somebody else, you're making yourself look crazy, and you're not owning your truth. You're not being authentic to yourself, because who you are is who you are. Someone said on here, we don't own people, right?
Right.
That's so true. And sometimes you can't help how you feel. Sometimes you can't help your desires. Sometimes you can't help your attractions or things that you might be into. I know a married couple that the wife found that she was really attracted to this guy, that she kept seeing him, and she went home and cried to her husband about it because she felt like such a guilty person that she was having this like sexual attraction to this young guy, and like it made her feel guilty just having those feelings. And she told her husband, and she said they both started crying. Like, they both started crying about it, and like then she told me they had the best sex of their life after that.
But see, there's a difference.
But to me, how beautiful is that?
But see, that's the difference. You see the difference there. The difference is she didn't go out and do it.
Correct.
She didn't step outside of her marriage. She went back and told her husband because she felt guilty about it. And guess what? they ended up having it sparked some things that probably was missing for a while. You get what I'm saying? Exactly, white girl, honesty. Someone said, there is such thing as healthy polyamorous relationships. It requires a strong foundation and self-love. We don't own people. Absolutely. And another thing I want to say, and I agree, which is why in my sessions, I always ask both parties, are you considering how they're feeling? Are you considering each other's emotions? Because it can't be one-sided. It's not going to work. If it's super one-sided, it is not going to work. You cannot force somebody to do something that they don't want to do. And also, I also want to clear the air here that a lot of people, he laid the pipe that night. Proud of him. Fact, he sure did. He said, yeah, you're going to think about another sexy man. You right here for you, girl. You forgot? Let me remind you.
That's what I'm talking about.
Let me remind you. But really quick before we put offer solutions, I think it's a beautiful thing when like, for example, I believe that love is beautiful, right? Like love is love, and it's amazing to see. It's wonderful to see. And I think it's a beautiful thing. But we also have to be honest and truthful with ourselves as well. We cannot just be like, oh, because I see everybody else doing it, I'm going to do it too. Because that's the thing to do. That's a popular thing to do. Oh, my friends are doing it, so guess what? I'm going to do it too. No, do it because you want to do it. Do it because it actually, there's something about it that you actually want to be attached to. Okay? Don't do it just because, oh, let me see. Let me see how this feels. And then when you actually feel it and you're in it, it's a very different experience. But you have to be prepared for that. You have to experience it, obviously, you know what I mean? But make sure it's not because someone is forcing you or because, you know, oh, my friends are doing it or I see other people doing it, so I'm going to do it too. No, do it because you want to do it and actually do your research. Make sure you understand what you're getting yourself into. So that way you do have a healthy polyamorous relationship, like SJ Soul mentioned. And about we don't own people. There is this hypothetical of that people that are monogamous feel like they need to own somebody. Monogamy is about owning somebody. No, it's not. It's
commitment.
Exactly. It's just commitment. There's a level of commitment that you have to remain in. And the levels of commitment also do change. They do evolve. People think that relationships in today's world is all y'all thinking is about the right now. What about the longevity? Are you dating for longevity? What exactly are you looking for? What exactly are your intentions for dating? Like, I'm tired of people just thinking that a relationship is, oh, let's see what happens. No, if you're going to commit, then really commit. Even in a polyamorous relationship, you have to commit.
Right.
You have
well, that's why I said
be
authentic.
page.
You have to be authentic with yourself. You have to know who you are, what you want, what you're looking for, and not only right now, like Yanni said, but in the future for the long term, right? There's a line that Russ says in one of his songs, and he says, don't be a slave to the person you were, and don't be a sheep and get lost in the herd. And it's so true. Like, you don't have to want for yourself the same things that you used to want in your past, right? For your future. You don't have to be a slave to the person that you used to be. And don't be a sheep and get lost in the herd. Like, you don't have to follow the crowd. Like, you don't have to follow what everybody else is doing. You feel me? You can do whatever it is that you want to do for yourself and what feels right to you. And if that means that you have to walk away from somebody that's in your life because you're not being authentic to who you really are, then so be it. Because at the end of the day, if you can look at yourself and say, I'm following what I feel is best for myself, then I'm doing the right thing. He said, who said that? Russ. He's the artist, Russ.
I absolutely agree with you there. And I just wanted to talk about it so much because of the fact that I'm learning so much about it. I watched this show called Couples Therapy. I am a huge fan of the therapist. She speaks about this, and she is also somebody that she's been doing this for years and transitioning her sessions from monogamous couples to now couples that are coming in. Majority of the couples that are coming in that are talking about going polyamorous are from the LGBTQI plus community. And it's something that she's just trying to figure out, and she's figuring it out little by little. But there was an episode where this one girl broke down and told her girlfriend, like, I feel so pressured to do this and I'm losing myself because I'm not happy. I'm no longer happy. That's what we're talking about, y'all. Do it because you want to do it. Do it because you really feel like you need this in your life and you want to grow with it, okay? You want to grow in this polyamorous relationship. You have a goal for this polyamorous relationship. And if you're just looking at polyamorous just to as an excuse to, oh, I'm going to be in a relationship with this one and that one, but if I see somebody else, I'm going to go over here too and bring them in. And then if that person sees another person and they like that person and we both like that person, but these two don't like them, bring them in too. You have to understand the level of commitment. And I mean that. People are successful with polyamorous relationships, and that is by all means, but you have to understand what that comes from, is all I'm saying. Do not complain about it. There's no need for you to complain about it. This is for you. That's what we're talking about. That's the solution. You have to understand that this is for you and this is what you need and what you want, and that the both of you are on the same page, okay? And if someone that's monogamous agrees to this, if you are the monogamous person, please understand what your role is and what their role is. If you agree to not stepping out, but you agree to them bringing in multiple partners, sweetheart, whether you're a man or a woman, this is what you've agreed upon, and this is your definition of what love means to you.
Right.
And any solutions, D, that you have in mind, babe?
I think to summarize everything we talked about, one of them is just being authentic to yourself, being honest with yourself and your partner. I think that maintaining respect and communication is really important. Understanding what your core values are and making sure that you're moving in a way that represents what the values are you have for yourself and for your marriage, commitment, relationship, whatever it is. Like we said, don't be a sheep and get lost in the herd. Don't follow the crowd. Don't do what you think looks good to do and what other people are doing.
Right.
And then the beauty of being an adult is, especially in terms of a relationship, is that's one of the choices that we do have in life, is you get to choose who your partner is. You get to choose who it is that you commit to, who it is that you decide to be in a relationship with, who you decide to get married to. So it really is a beautiful thing to have that choice in your hands out of all the things in life that we cannot choose. Understand that that's something that you can, and you need to advocate for yourself and for what's best for you, what makes you feel good about where you are in your life. So whatever you want to do, listen, this is a no judgment zone. We say this all the time.
All the time.
Make sure that it feels good for yourself. That's what's most important.
Absolutely. Sapio Serpent said, it's the same reason people aren't honest from the beginning, even in spite of red flags. People don't want to tell themselves no. Whoo, child, you said a whole word, and that is true. Okay, that is true. But that is all, guys, that we have, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in to Love Solutions Podcast, into this episode. Make sure to subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Anchor FM. Well, Anchor FM and Spotify are not together, so you can subscribe on there. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us here on Instagram, Love Solutions Podcast. All right, y'all. So peace and love. This is your girl, Sayani.
Peace and love, guys. It's your girl, Darian Marie. It was so good to see you guys.
Peace and love, y'all.